to the line. Reynolds! Cody Deaver clear with 100 metres to go. Excellent runs to second. Olazun runs on, but a champion becomes a legend.
Thurston to choose from with Coot. He hits it, he's got it! He's got the field goal! He's got the premiership!
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup! Oh, blocked by James! LeBron James with the rejection!
He has gone from a captain to a legend and probably rugby league immortality.
Right. G'day everyone, welcome back to the Short Ball Podcast. We're joined as usual on the Racing Podcast by Bradley. And we're also joined by a very special guest in the three-time Everest winner and champion jockey, Kerrin McEvoy. Kerrin, how are you going?
Good, thanks, boys. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Good, thanks. Mate, exciting week coming up, and it's probably a race that's really snowballed. Me as a racing purist and obviously yourself, I just want to get your opinion on the Everest in a whole. Obviously, you won the first Everest. Long time between brew back in the day, and a lot of winners since then. How does an Everest, particularly your first Everest, a new race, obviously not a Group 1, how was the achievement? What sort of feeling did it give you? How did it compare with those major races that you've obviously won in Australia and over the world? And also probably as a two-pronged question, if it's not right up there with those top races, or it wasn't at the time, do you think it is gradually growing into one of those, let's say, the big four, maybe big five sort of races?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because, it's only really in its infancy still, this race. But as you said, I've been lucky enough to have been able to win three of them, and it was an unbelievable feeling. Like I'm obviously lucky enough to have won the Melbourne Cup a few times as well, and that's still the pinnacle for mine, the Melbourne Cup. But it's been around 150, 160 years, so it's quite remarkable how quickly this race has captured everyone's attention, not only in Australia but overseas as well. And I think just the aspect, the slot filling aspect of it, and you got to pay to get your slot, and it's just a whole new dynamic that it brought to our racing scene here in Australia. And it's been well received for sure, because whatever sport people want to watch, they want to watch, the top-notch athletes and athletes being the equines fight it out. And, this is it's a remarkable sprint race. And it's a dream to have been able to win it three times already, and going into this one with a shout again. So, it'll be amazing to see where this race ends up, because you think this is only the fifth running, and it's come around. It's been talked about all year round, this race. So it's going to be around for a lot longer yet, and it'll be fantastic once COVID's gone and whatnot. There'll be international players flooding back to try and be a part of it, I'm sure. So it's a dream to be a part of it.
Yep. You won the race last year on Classique Legend. You're on it again. Les Bridge said the other day, he said from a point of view for preparation for the Everest last year, the last year hasn't been ideal, so he's going to have to put up a Herculean performance. Can take a lot out of a horse travelling internationally. How do you think Classique Legend is tracking now compared to how he was tracking when he won the race last year?
Yeah, it's a good question as well, because it is a completely different preparation this year. He got back from Hong Kong and the travel. He had to go to New Zealand to do 2 weeks quarantine, and he got back in the stable and he just looked light across the top, and the travel had gotten to him a little bit, and there was no real time to put him out in a paddock and give him a normal break. So it's a different preparation in that sense, that Les had to get him back in the stable, get him on his tucker, and fill him up again, and then work on his fitness gradually from that. So he's come along a long way in the last 6 weeks. This horse, his first trial, he still won the trial, but he didn't blow us away, and he needed improvement, and Les had to just stop and change tack, and he came up with a plan to go to the race first up. So he's a brilliant horse, fresh, this horse. And at the end of the day, it's a 1,200 metre race. And I know that, there's a lot of people saying, oh, can he do it first up? But I really do believe that he can. If he's gotten over the little hiccup that he had over in Hong Kong, then I'm really confident that he can run a great race on Saturday. So, not only has it been a different prep in terms of the horse, but it's been a different prep for us jockeys as well. We haven't been able to ride track work for the past month, and that threw a bit of a spanner in the works. As going back on last year, I was riding him every second or third day, and I got a real understanding of where he was at. So both Les and I have been banking on Peter Roble to do a lion's share of the work at the track there of a morning, and Rubber's been really pleased with how he's felt all the way through. And when he's right, this horse, he gets a real strut on, and he gets a bit of purpose about him. And the other day before the trial, he had that strut on. He was up and about, and he was ready to rip for me in the trial, and that's always a good sign with a horse. And when this horse is right, that's exactly how he behaves, and he was like that the other day for me. So yeah, it's a different preparation, but we're banking on old Les the Marvel pulling off a masterstroke.
Yeah, good bloke to have in the saddle in your absence, Pete.
Yeah, Pete's been doing a great job. He knows a good horse, obviously a great jockey in his own right, and he's toiling away, training a few, and buying and selling a few, and he's been lucky, or we've been lucky to have him throw his leg over and keep the horse on the straight and narrow, and give Les a good guide along the way. Yeah,
you sort of answered the next question we're going to ask. Was it always the intention for Les to bring him into the race first up? Because I think we watched the first trial and thought he went okay, but horses like Lost and Running probably had the better of him. But you really seen his second trial was sensational, and his third trial looked like just a nice tick over trial for the horse. Went super again. So that question, obviously it wasn't always. Les's obviously first option would have been to have a run before going to the Everest, I suppose.
Yeah, I think when we realised we couldn't get him ready for the shorts, it was going to be just see how he went the next 10 days, and then see whether he could run in the Premier first up. As it turned out, I'm glad that he didn't run the Premier, because it was a bit of a wet day, and first up on a really wet track there would have been wasn't what we're after, given he was just behind a little bit in his fitness. So he's had that extra 4 weeks now, so obviously since that first run was scratched off the page. So he's had plenty of time just to gradually build up his fitness. And sure, you would have loved time to have given him a run, but his second trial was fantastic, improvement off the first one. And then on the way to the trials there the other day, last Friday, I gave Rub a call, and I said, Rub, I haven't been on him since his second trial. If you were riding him, what sort of trial would you give him? And he said he just needs a tick over trial. He just needs to stay on the bridle and let him do his thing. And he's a brilliant horse. He does enough work underneath you without letting him off the chain every day, so to speak. So that was just a lovely tick over trial. And yeah, I got off the horse pretty excited, pretty chuffed. Feeling the feel he gave me. So we've got to have everything go our way on Saturday, but we've got a nice marble, and hopefully I can give him a good journey throughout.
Yeah. Well, everyone's sort of saying you've already got one thing go your way. They're sort of saying this barrier draw is really good for the horse. What are your thoughts on the on drawing number 5?
Yeah, I was pretty pleased with that. It's a nice marble. He drew 6 last year and 5 this year, so just gives us options to lay up. Depending on the speed and whatnot, we can just get some cover. Trekking's there around me, and it's been well talked about. There's plenty of speed in the race. They might not go as quick as last year, but we've been pinging out of the gates in our trials, so there's nothing stopping us sitting a little bit closer compared to where he was last year in the run early in the race.
What's your ideal scenario, Macca? You've gone a furlong.
Yeah, probably just midfield somewhere. We can be one off, 3 deep with a bit of cover. Obviously keep an eye on how the track's racing throughout the day, and whether it's chopping out a little bit on the inside. But if we're within 4 or 5 lengths of them, and we've had a soft time through the first half, then I know that he's going to finish well. He showed that in his trial. He's been ready to explode. So get the first half right, and hopefully in that midfield position, in the clear, nothing on my outside, and then I can press the button whenever I want, like I did last year. And any race you're in, you need an uninterrupted run throughout, and that's what we'll be trying to achieve there on Saturday.
If you weren't on Classique Legend, what other horse in the Everest would you be sort of eyeing off, or that you'd want to be on?
Yeah, that's interesting one as well. I think G-Tra was there for everyone to see the other day. I think he's peaking at the right time. The top 4 for mine are G-Tra, Eduardo, Nature Strip, and the little smoky with the weight pullers, Home Affairs. He's a colt that's improving. Obviously improved into this prep, and we all know that Waller can get great improvement out of one prep into another. And that first up win was pretty dynamic against his own age group there at Rose Hill. But you've got to give him a little bit of credit for, and especially you've got to keep an eye on him, given he's only got 53 on his back. So they're probably the top 4 opponents for me, I think, and that's without mentioning some other great sprinters. It's a fantastic race, but that'd be the top 4 dangers for mine.
Was it too good to be true the other day, Mac or Eduardo? We watched that race and he sat out punching the breeze, probably half a length in front of what's the world's best rated sprinter. And I was waiting up the rise for him to drop off, and he not only did he not drop off, but he come back and he beat Nature Strip. But that was an unbelievable performance. And do you think that can be backed up?
Well, yeah, it's interesting. It's a good point. If it's a PB, then you've got to try and obviously maintain that form and then repeat it again. So he's a tough horse, that's for sure, Eduardo. And Nash has gotten to know him very well. And as I said, last year they went lickety split throughout, and they had to stop. Whereas this year, good sprinters only need an easy furlong and a half or so down the side, and then they've got the leftover gas in the tank to give a kick at the finish. So I've got to be really aware of not giving these guys too easy a time, not giving them too big a start, because horses like Eduardo, they're tough and strong, and so that's what makes it such a dynamic race. It's the barrier draw makes it interesting, and how much work each horse has to do to get a spot remains to be seen. But it's going to be a compelling race to view and be a part of.
Sure. Yeah. Anything coming up over the course of the carnival that you're excited to get on?
Yeah, I'm just waiting to see whether we can get down to Melbourne. We've put in a request to the government, and Racing Vic have been kind enough to help us out, and I might be able to head down there for Cup Week, and if so, I might be able to ride. Well, I can ride if I get down there. A horse called Grand Promenade in the Melbourne Cup for Kira Ma and Dave Eustace. He won the Bart Cummings quite stylishly there last Saturday, and he's got a great Flemington record. I think he's 4 from 5 or 4 from 4 at Flemington. So looks as though he'll stay the 2 miles, and he's got 52 kilos on his back. So we'll get the Everest out of the way first, and then go down and try and win another Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully you guys can get down there, because obviously, like you said, the punters and the people want to watch the best sporting people, and the best jockeys and best horses go around. So hopefully you can all get down there together and have a good carnival.
Really appreciate you coming on today. I understand it's been a busy week for you. It's going to be a busy week for you. Good luck on the weekend for the rest of the carnival.
No worries at all. Thanks, boys. Appreciate that.
Cheers.
We have our tipping show now. Obviously, we go through our best. Another massive thanks to Kerrin McEvoy for coming on earlier in the day. Firstly, we'll just sort of wrap ourselves. We won't hold ourselves accountable for any of the shit bets. We're just going to wrap ourselves on all the good things.
Only the good bets from last week. Only the good stuff.
Bradley kept himself in the black last week. $3 in the black, but win's a win. Our short ball multi paying a juicy $32.29. It was paying.
Paid an unjuicy nothing.
It paid an unjuicy nothing. Coast Watch just done us in.
Yeah,
in
killed
us. And then obviously the rest doesn't really matter anyway.
No, it was a good fight back. Obviously, you say Coast Watch $1.09 at the beginning of the day. I did say on the podcast last week, and I done myself, I had a good crack at Coast Watch early with the bet return and got that, and obviously with the defeat got the bet return and put it on Paul Lely, which kept us going for the day. And we managed to get out after that. Obviously finished in front. Not a bad effort to finish in front on a Group 1 day, especially when you're getting a $1.90 pop beat at the beginning of the day. So we went on from there, and as a sidekick, I think we backed Delphi and a couple others late in the day too. So
Yeah.
Apart from the podcast, we had not a bad day, but obviously Paul Early, a very good winner for us. You were very bullish about NMO. I should have stayed with him, but steered off him, and because of the barrier draw. And obviously we were. What was the other Group 1 in Melbourne?
I'm Thunderstruck.
I'm
in
Thunderstruck.
the 2 rack.
It was a very good win.
I was bullish on him as well.
Yeah.
I thought he was
And obviously, I certainly didn't stick my head on the chopping block and say Zaki was going to get beat, but there was some concerns there about the Melbourne way. And especially after talking to Chris Waller today, I'm very bullish about Very Elegant at juicy odds going into the Cox Plate, particularly now there's maybe some chinks in the armour of Zaki. But yet, look, a winning week is a good week, so onwards and upwards.
Onwards and upwards. Now we go the Everest and the Caulfield Cup, 2 big races of the weekend. Obviously got a few things that are chances. The Caulfield Cup barrier draw sort of thrown a spanner.
Threw us right out. That's why we're doing this a bit late. Threw us right out. But yeah, obviously we'll get on that a bit later. So we'll get into the Everest
also
first.
annoyed that the full field and barrier draw didn't come out until like 6:15.
Well, that's how it works, unfortunately, because with the Coonji being a exempt from ballot race, I need to wait and see if that runner is going to take up the option, and the acceptances come out after that.
Yeah. We'll go into the Everest first. 3 picks.
Oh, geez, tough race. Look, I'm really keen on Gytra. Obviously, with this weather, the one maybe the concern on the day, and obviously we're doing this 3 days out from the race, but I just think at the price, Gytra, and it was a super run first up, run really well in the race last year, drawn the 1, hopefully it's not a quagmire by race day and it's not a major disadvantage, but I'm really bullish on him, particularly each way odds. Classique Legend, I was umming and ahhing about, and I have been for a while, but I thought his last 2 trials have been super, and after talking to Kerrin McEvoy today, he's very happy with the horse and where he's at the moment, and obviously a quality stay. If he can come back from Hong Kong, he's drawn perfectly, regardless of whether they're going up the inside or coming down the inside. If there's any bias to the track, Kerrin drawing 5 can just pretty much negotiate and dictate to where he wants to be. And again, after talking to Chris today, Nature Strip, rated the best sprinter in the world, and loves any going. Unfortunately, he's drawn barrier 10, which is going to make things difficult. If he'd have drawn better, we might have been able to have him a little bit higher. But I've got him to run 3rd. You can't count him out. A quality sprinter, quality trainer, quality jockey. And look, my outsider for the race, and I think there's probably so many options. I mean, those 3 could not run in the first 3, really. Yeah. I mean, there's so many potentials to win the race. But my outsider is, I think he's just ticking along okay. Is Lost and Running, drawn well, barrier 2. Again, if the inside's chopped up and they're not coming from there, it's going to make it difficult. But I think he's on the right path, and at very good odds, he might be one for your multis.
Yeah, obviously, Nature Strip, number 1 sprinter in the world. You can't really leave it out. And also, Classique Legend, another one. Won the race last year. I wanted to leave it out, but I found it very hard to.
Macca was bullish, wasn't he, today?
Yeah.
He was pretty keen, especially after his last trial. He was very keen on him.
Yeah, I might have been swayed by the trainer and jockey earlier today about who I'm going. But I'm going to stick with them. I'm going to go Nature Strip to win it. I think if he can get into a good spot off the jump, I think he's a very, very good horse. Yeah. And could be primed to win it. Gytra I've got in 2nd. I really like the look of it. Classique Legend probably swayed by the jockey into putting it into 3rd. But what I'm really surprised about at the odds as a roughie is the Inferno. Now, a lot of people just sort of thrown this horse away and just thought, nah, it's shit, because it came second in the AJ Moy. I didn't win it, but like it was a good run and on a track that was probably favouring the leaders a little bit more that day, and given another 100, 200 metres, and it beats Wild Ruler by like 2-3 lengths. So I really like it. I really liked it when it came over from Singapore. It was an impressive first up, but its second up run, it just blitzed them. And in the AJ Moyer, it was really good as well, I thought. So I'm going to go it as my roughie. It's paying $26.
Yeah.
So that's worth a stab. Now move on to the Caulfield Cup. Bradley, what are your three?
Again, thrown right out today. So obviously incentivised if he draws an alley. You're sort of all over him, and now, obviously, at the short price, you want to be given a chance to look at some other options in the race, and it made us dive a bit deeper. I keep sort of coming back to, obviously, you like horses that are proven at the distance and, aren't too bad off in the weights. I've sort of settled now after the barrier draw with, I think I like the Chosen One. He's been there, he's done it before, he's run well in the Caulfield Cup before. His form at the distance is quite good, obviously. Drawn pretty well. I'll probably take that from Young Werther, who I think was second in the AJC Derby last year. There's some good Derby contenders coming out of it. Also, there's Explosive Jack there as well, who was a multiple Derby winner last year. I haven't thrown him in. I just thought he was probably out of the two, Young Werther and Explosive Jack. Explosive Jack was a bit more dour. He may just be looking for a little bit further now, but wouldn't surprise me if he was thereabouts. But yeah, my Chosen One on top I've got from Young Werther. Look, Incentivise I've got to throw in there because he's a quality horse. And if he gets across and Brady Preble can give him a decent run, he's probably still going to be the one to beat anyway. But geez, it's a long way from 18. Look, Delphi and Nonconformist I was pretty keen on before the barrier draws as well. Obviously, really hard for Delphi now. Nonconformist from 16, still not probably the worst barrier, but it's going to find it tough. And my roughie is Homesman, another old stager who's been there. I think he's run second in the Caulfield Cup a couple of years ago. And his second up last run. Against Zaki and put the pressure on early. Looked to me like it was one of those runs where it was, let's just do a bit of work on him and get him ready for his next start. So I think him at good odds is there as well. So I've gone the Chosen One from Young Werther. Incentivise you've got to have. He's going to be there somewhere if he can get any sort of run. And Homesman for fourth and my outsider of the race.
Yeah, look, when I saw the barrier draw, I just sort of like cringed a little bit because I was like, the three that I was pretty bullish on in my top three, which, as you said, were Incentivise, Delphi, Nonconformist. I saw the barrier draw, I'm like, they've all drawn the car park. They're just going to find it tough. But I think Incentivise is too much of a quality horse to leave out, and I think it still wins, especially if Brett Pebble can get into an all right spot. I know it's going to be hard from that draw, but geez, it's such a good horse. It's real hard to leave it out. I went Young Werther as well. I think it was really good in the Turnbull, running home late, just beaten by Incentivise. Maybe looking for a further distance as well, based on that run. And the Chosen One was another one that I've been off and on throughout this carnival. I've liked it at certain stages, and I just know it's going to be better for the distance, and it's drawn pretty well out of all the sort of contenders, and it's run well in this race previously. So I've gone that for third. My roughie is She's Ideal. I think it's a quality horse, and paying $35, and it's drawn barrier 5. Like, it doesn't really get that much better. So
yeah, where you want to be?
Yeah, I like She's Ideal at $35 odds. Right, well, that's it for the two major races of the weekend. Few other good races going around. What do you like in the sort of other races at Caulfield?
Yeah, it's a good day. Caulfield's pretty tricky for mine. I'm sort of obviously the Caulfield Cup's the main one. There's a lot of work we've got to put into that. Hopefully we can get some results. There's some, obviously with the barrier draws now, there's some good prices, and it opens it right up. But look, I'm pretty keen on Enthar. It's been running in quality company and runs in the sprint in the last race, the Get Out Stakes. I think it's $450 or something like that. Quite a decent price. I think Enthar's probably one that I will lean to at Caulfield. Obviously, the rest of the races are pretty hard. I think there's a filly that you like or a mare that you liked that obviously went around today and won.
Yeah.
Cerilio Miss. Yeah, look, it'd be interesting to see what they do with her. She's obviously accepted for Saturday as well. So we'll have to sit and wait on that.
Like to see her go around because I think good each way.
Yeah, well,
it's
always tough to pull up from a Wednesday to a Saturday, but I'm sure if she does hold a place in the field, it's only because she's pulled up well and done well. So it's certainly worth having something on. Probably head back to Randwick. I mean, a bit of a tricky day. A really good day's racing, and I think there's some nice bets there. I'd much prefer that we knew we were going to be on maybe a genuine sort of slow sort of 5 or a slow 6. But there's a few variables at the moment of how wet the track's going to be. But I've come down to sort of in the Kosciuszko, a few of the major races today. In the Kosciuszko, I don't want a horse called Art Cadeau. He's got some pretty good form, and I like a horse that can put a few wins together. Drawn well, the 3, obviously again with the conditions. Hopefully they don't trash the inside of the track, and that becomes a disadvantage. But I think it's at $7. That horse is well worth sort of having a look at. I also looked into Kementari. Kementari, you probably can't say unlucky that it wasn't in the Everest, but was certainly one of those horses around the money to maybe get an Everest slot. And he is the class horse of that race. He's your favourite for a reason at $4. So tricky race, but look, Kementari class horse and will be hard to beat. I think I touched on it earlier and probably will again later on. The Craven Plate, Shared Ambition. Really, really hard to beat. I think she's my best of the day. He's my best of the day. Obviously, just got nailed by Think It Over as a good quality horse last start. Once you start getting into sort of that slow and heavy track form, Think It Over's not so good in those conditions. On form, you've got Shared Ambitions drawn the 6. J Mac aboard. Good price. I'm pretty bullish, and also Chris, when we spoke to him today, was pretty keen. Well, maybe just look into it a bit more. I was pretty keen. I was glad to hear him back up what I thought, sort of looking at the form. Look, I thought Great House in a Ledger, but obviously his first emergency for the Caulfield Cup, drawn barrier 2. I'd say probably on his way down to Melbourne as we speak, just in case, because you can't miss out on that sort of opportunity. So I doubt he will take his place in the St. Ledger, but if he does, I think he would have been the winner. So yeah, there are a few of the horses that I like for the day.
Best tips of the day?
I think Shared Ambition. Shared Ambition will be my best for the day. And I've come down to probably my best outsider of the day is Homesman. Just with those barrier draws and things like that, and I think he's a seasoned campaigner. So yeah, look, best of the day, Shared Ambition at this stage, and Homesman each way, 40-1.
Yeah, love
that.
that.
Fill up, that can win.
Oh yeah. I've gone again with four picks. I've gone Glint of Hope, Caulfield race 4, paying $9.50. Its last start run was very impressive. Behind Elusive Express and Yearning, who were the Quinella.
Elusive Express was good today, yeah.
The Quinella and the 1,000 guineas.
Yep.
So, I mean, it was 2-3 lengths off him in that last start, but it hit the line well and it looked really good. So I think it can win that race. I've gone Colette, Caulfield race 7. Really like that as a horse. And with rain expected, it does love a wet track. Fangirl was one that I just sort of blindly followed Chris on. Well, not blindly, I did a little bit of form into it, but I really like its form.
It's pretty bullish today.
Yeah, he was very bullish on it, and anything the great man's bullish on, you probably shouldn't follow, but
he looked like he fangirled Fangirl.
Yes, he
Bit of a
did.
glint in his eye.
And as I talked about before, I've also gone on Taunt at Randwick Race 9. Those are my 4 best.
The 50. How
The
are we going to
50.
spend the 50?
Well, I didn't have 50 last week.
So you got 100 this week?
Got 100 this week.
No, you don't.
No,
No, you don't, pal.
We'll go with your 50 first. You were in the black last week, plus $3, and a win's a win. But what's your 50 going? How's your 50 going to be invested?
Yeah, look, obviously we're taking the hard road. There's some Group 1 races, and we're trying to pick winners in the Group 1 race here, which is not, we're not cheating. We're not looking for the easy outs. So my $50 will go towards, I'll have $5 on the Chosen One, obviously in the Caulfield Cup at $12. I'll also have $5 on Young Werther at $11 in the Caulfield Cup. I'd done it last week and it didn't quite pay off for me, but I'm going to do it again this week. I will have $3 a place on Homesman at $10 a place. Entha, who we touched on earlier, I think is my best bet of the day at Caulfield. I'll have $5 a win. Entha at $4.20. Then we'll move on to Randwick. Pretty bullish on Gitra. Really hoping that inside's not off by the time we get there. So we'll have $5 on Gitra at $8.50. I think trending at about $8.50 to $9 at the moment, but we'll say $8.50. I'll also have a stab at the trifecta in that race, because why wouldn't you? I will have a half-unit trifecta costing $12. Gitra, Classique Legend, Nature Strip, and Lost and Running. Obviously for 50%. I think that pays quite well if it happens to get up. Again, not taking the easy options here, punters. We are trying to produce some value in the big races of the day. Also, the Kosciuszko, touched on that one earlier. Art Cadeau, I think $5. The win at $7 is not a bad investment. And the Craven Plate, I'm pretty keen on Shared Ambition. $5 at $5.50. I'll be having there. That leaves me with $5, and I think I'll just have a little multi with the last $5. All the place. I'll have Entha, Fangirl that you touched on, and obviously Chris was pretty keen on today. Gitra and Shared Ambition, and I think that gave me around $19.
Yeah, solid. Let's hope you can remain in the black. With my 50, I originally had Foxfighter in the first at Randwick.
We've had some good results of him lately, but
Yeah,
probably if it's wet,
probably not
it's going from
gonna
1,000 to 1,400. If it's wet, he probably won't run.
So instead, I've put that $5 and added it onto Colette. So I've gone $10 on Colette to win at $3.10. I've gone a $3 to win, $2 to place, sort of on Gitra in the Everest. I've gone a $5 to place on the Inferno in the Everest. I touched on its outrageously long odds before. I think it's very good value at $6.50 to place. I've gone 10 on Fangirl. I've gone Glint of Hope as well, $5 on it at $9.50. I've gone $5 on Entente as well, so a lot of that is in me best. I've had a $10 all up at $22.88. That's value. It's going to go Nature Strip to place, into Incentivize to win, into Hungry Heart to place, into Entente to place, into Enthar to place.
Oh, 5 of them.
Well, it's like you had 6 last week. That was paying.
And how'd that go?
It went so shit.
Actually, it didn't go too bad, no, because I missed the first one. I think I got 4 of 4 or 5 of 6.
You certainly
No, I
didn't
got 4.
get 5 because you had
4.
Zaki.
I got 4 or 6. I got 4 or 6, I think. But anyway, we'll move on from that.
We will move on from that. Right, we did this last week, and we're going to be going through them again. Our Supercoach stables for this week. Bradley, what's your stable looking like?
Yeah, tough week. I'm going to back myself and go Gitra and put the C on board. $475k. I think it's not a bad price. Obviously, hoping the track doesn't get mixed up on the inside or minced up on the inside. I've got Shared Ambition also at $350k. probably a bit of money to spend on a horse running in a Group 3, but I think it's the winner of that race, so happy to sort of invest that. In the Caulfield Cup, I'm probably going to couple in the Caulfield Cup at what I think is not bad prices. Young Werther, 325. It was obviously my second tip for the race. Incentivise, I know he's drawn wide, but at 250k you can't go wrong. Having him, obviously one of the class horses of the race. I've also gone with the Chris Waller trained Ocean Billy. Hopefully he's acclimatised well. Really good New Zealand form. And could be thereabouts in that race. Taking Enther, that I think we both think can win the last race in the sprint down there. Obviously, Home Affairs at 175k. Another one in the Everest. And Glint of Hope in the Group 3 at 50k because I'm starting to run out of money. And J-Mac, you can nearly take every week because he is flowing.
J-Mac is a lock for the jockey pretty much every week at this point. Seems to be on all the good rides and seems to get the best out of every horse he's getting on. So I've gone him straight up. I've gone Nature Strip at the 500,000 price tag. Sort of worried me a little bit, but then I thought, geez, it's worth it if he wins one of the 2 Group 1s. You want to have the winner. If there's 2 Group 1s in a week, you want to have the winners in both of them. So
yeah,
I've gone Nature Strip. I've gone Incentivise as my skipper. I just think it's too class of a horse to sort of leave out, and I think it's probably the best chance in that Caulfield Cup, as I said before. I've gone Young Werther. I think we touched on that before as well. I've gone a sort of similar tactic in that I've just sort of picked as many in Group 1 as I possibly could because I've also gone the Inferno and Home Affairs. I didn't really touch on it much when we were doing our sort of Everest preview, but I think it's a class horse.
Well, he's the right price, and he's thereabouts. He's a 3-year-old. Chris has done it before.
Yeah, and as Chris was saying today, sort of the same mould as Yes, winning the Everest a few years ago. So I decided to go it at a cheap price tag as well. I've gone Enthar and Glint of Hope, like yourself, and I've also gone Cerilio Miss. But I will be keeping an eye out to see if it's confirmed to race or not. Wrap it up there.
Yeah, no, good weekend of racing, and again, don't crucify us.
Nobody
leave us alone.
anyway.
But we've gone for a bit of value this week. Last week, it wasn't a bad weekend last week. Obviously, we went some short prices because that was the day it was. We got crucified with the first one. It would have been a much better day if Coast Watch, the Donald 90 pop, sort of was going to kickstart our whole day, and unfortunately didn't. You're a bit tired, mate.
Yeah.
Need some non-ice.
Yeah.
It's been a long day waiting for the Caulfield Cup field to come out and the Barrajaws to come out and do a bit of form. But this week, there's a bit of value there. So don't discourage anyone, particularly in the Caulfield Cup or the Everest, to look outside the box. But hopefully we can steer you into a few winners, and I can stay in the black, and old mate can
join you in the black.
That'd be nice.
Well, I'm on the NA.
Considering you're spending our money, so that'd be good.
We probably should, when we'll tip them, we probably should have just done for this Caulfield Cup and Everest with how many runners can
throw
win.
darts. We just put the dartboard upstairs.
Yes.
We should just put the cutout, the Telegraph cutout, and just throwing some darts at it. But anyway, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty happy with
my tips. We'll wrap it up there. Cheers.